Have you ever described yourself in a way that sounded true but also a little final? Like, I'm just independent, or I'm not good at asking for help, or I always keep myself busy. We say these things like they're facts, and sometimes they are, but sometimes they're not. And they're not the whole story. Sometimes what we call our personality is actually something we learn to do because it helps us survive and avoid disappointment. That's what I want to explore in this video. There's a story from Thailand that's made me think about this differently. It's the story of the Golden Buddha. And the reason I think it's worth staying with is simple. It can help us ask a better question before we decide this is just who am I. That question is, what did this version of me once protected? This story in Bangkok, there is a Buddha statue called Frafuta Mahasuwan Patimakon, often known as the Golden Buddha. Today it's known as the largest solid gold sculpture in the world. It's about 3 meters tall and weighs around 5.5 metric tons. But for a long time, people didn't know it was gold. They saw plaster. Imagine for a second a statue made of solid gold sitting there for years, but from the outside it looked ordinary. Valuable as a sacred image, of course, but not visibly made of gold. Its exact origin isn't fully known, but its style suggests it may come from almost 800 years ago. At some point in its history, this statue was covered in plaster, most likely to disguise its value and protect it from being stolen. And the plaster wasn't meaningless. It had a job. It protected something valuable during a time when being visibly valuable could have been dangerous. But as time passed, the same covering that once protected it also changed how people understood it. Then in 1955, during a relocation, something went wrong. The statue was being moved. It was accidentally dropped, and part of the plaster chipped away, and underneath, people saw gold. That moment is what stays with me, not just because the statue was gold, because the gold had been there the whole time, and the crack didn't create that value. It revealed what people had stopped seeing. When protection starts looking like personality. This is where the story starts to feel personal. A lot of us have ways of being that started for a reason. Someone who never asked for help may not simply be independent. They may have learned early that needing people was risky. Or someone who is always productive may not just be disciplined. They may feel unsafe when things get quiet. The point is not to diagnose ourselves or turn every habit into trauma. It's more practical than that. It's asking, when did this begin helping me? Because many of our patterns were useful at one point. They helped us get through certain rooms, certain families, relationships, and certain version of lives. The problem is that what helps us survive one chapter may not help us live honestly in the next one. A person can carry a mask for so long that it stops feeling like a mask. It just feels normal. We don't say, I don't know how to rest. We say, I like being busy. And the language matters because once we call something identity, you stop questioning it. That is where the plaster becomes invisible. How modern life adds to the covering. The whole situation would be hard enough on its own, but modern life adds another layer of confusion. We are constantly being pulled away from ourselves. There's always something to check, to answer, to compare, to improve. And after a while, it becomes hard to tell the difference between our actual voice and all the noises that we have absorbed. I noticed this in myself. I can have a day where I did everything I was supposed to do. From the outside, it looks fine, but at the end of the day, I still feel like I wasn't really there, just because my attention was everywhere except with me. And when that happens for long enough, our inner life gets quiet, but it doesn't get quiet in a peaceful way. It's more like a room that we stopped entering. Then when we finally slow down, we don't always find calm first. We might find exhaustion or the uncomfortable realization that we have been performing a version of ourselves for so long that we forgot it was a performance. Awareness can be uncomfortable because it doesn't only show us how we have been hurt, it can also show us how our defense affected other people. Understanding why we became a certain way doesn't excuse everything we did from that place. It does give us a more honest starting point. Because if I don't understand what I'm doing, I will keep calling it just my personality. But once I can see it, I have a little more choice. The crack. The golden Buddha was revealed because something cracked. And I think most of us don't like cracks in our own lives. Crack might look like a burnout. It might look like losing interest in something we worked hard to build. Or may look like sitting alone one night and realizing we don't actually like the life we have been trying so hard to maintain. I don't want to romanticize that, but a crack can be painful. But if we are willing to listen carefully, it can point to the places where we have been living too far away from ourselves. What is underneath? So, what is underneath all of this? I don't think the answer is a perfect self, and I don't think there's a flawless version of us hidden under everything, waiting to appear. Under the old defenses, we are still human, we still have fear, we still get hurt, and we still have to take responsibility for what we're going to do next. So for me, the inner goal in this story is not perfection. It's honesty, it's authentic self. That may not sound as dramatic as finding our true self, but it feels more real, and maybe that's the kind of a spirituality I trust more. Not the kind that turns everything into a beautiful lesson, the kind that helps us see what is actually happening. I think the Golden Buddha story stays with me because it challenges how quickly we judge what we see. We do it with other people and we do it with ourselves too. So this is a question I'm leaving myself with before I decide this is just who am I. Can I ask what this version of me once protected? Is it really my personality and the way that I define myself with? Because there may be more underneath. Not something perfect, something real. This is Here and Human, a space for the things we feel, we forget, question, unlearn, and slowly come back to.